Hello, and welcome to Things We Said Today, our bi-weekly podcast about anything and everything to do with the Beatles, collectively and individually, past, present, sometimes even the future. I'm Allan Kozinn, the author of The Beatles from the Cavern to the Rooftop, and Got That Something, How the Beatles, I Want to Hold Your Hand Changed Everything, and co-author with Adrian Sinclair of the forthcoming McCartney Legacy series, Volume 1, coming out in November. And I'm joined by my esteemed co-hosts, Ken Michaels, who you know as the host of the syndicated Beatles radio show, Every Little Thing, and a co-host of the Beatles podcast, Talk More Talk. I should say Beatles solo podcast, Talk More Talk. He has his own YouTube channel as well, called Ken Michaels Radio, and it's packed with Beatles-related interviews. And he'll tell you more about how to hear some of his other interviews and things at the end of the show. Hello, Ken. How's it going?
Good, Allan. Glad to be here and excited to talk to our special guests who are coming up.
Yeah. And also we're joined by Darren DeVivo, a DJ at WFUV 90.7 in the New York area since 1984. Darren's been there since 1984. They were there before.
Yeah. They're much older than me. 1947.
Someone has to be, apart from me.
But,
if you're not in the vicinity of New York, you can hear him and everything else at WFUV.org. And there are other ways, which he'll also tell you at the end. Hello, Darren.
How are you? Hello, everyone. Welcome to the new show.
Great. This show is going to be about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's new exhibition, The Beatles Get Back to Let It Be. And we will talk to a couple of people from the Rock Hall. One of them, Nwaka Onwusa, who is the chief curator and VP, will actually walk us through the exhibition. And we'll also be talking to Greg Harris, the president and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. But first, as always, the news with Ken.
Thank you, Allan. We're going to start with news that broke yesterday. This is according to the Daily Mail. Paul McCartney is being considered for a peerage to mark his 80th birthday this summer. He could, in fact, be made a lord in recognition of his lifetime of musical achievements and service to British culture. It was actually 25 years ago when he was first knighted by the Queen. So, Allan, you might have to change the title of your upcoming book there. Put Lord McCartney in the front.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I believe it wasn't Paul's fictional grandfather in A Hard Day's Night referred to as Lord McCartney in the scene where they go to that fancy club? And they think that he's a
That's very good. I forgot all about that.
Mm.
Yeah. All right.
How many Willie Mama jokes are going to now start because with this happening?
This allows him to sit in the House of Lords, and also a peerage is hereditary. So his kids can be in the House of Lords as well.
Really?
This is what Adrian, my British co-author, tells me, so it must be true.
How about fans? Do they end up in? Never mind.
Next few items are also on Paul. He has just added another date for his Got Back tour. It's May 8th at the Oakland Arena, and tickets go on sale to the general public March the 18th. Same day that the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is opening up their new Beatles exhibit. Paul will also be playing his Hofner bass on an upcoming song by the Umoza Music Project. This is an African band from Malawi. Paul plays on the title track called Home. The album will be coming out May 6th on CD, vinyl, and digitally, with 2 limited edition 7-inch and 10-inch vinyl singles of the song with exclusive remixes. Paul recorded his bass part during lockdown at his home studio, and the album features singers recorded on the banks of Lake Malawi, collaborating with over a dozen UK musicians despite being with lockdowns in both countries. This was actually reported on Paul's own website. We have yet but another update on Record Store Day and that release of Paul McCartney of Women and Wives. This is a 12-inch that's coming out on June 18th, Paul's birthday. It has been named their inaugural song of the year. One side has Paul's original version, the other is from St. Vincent, and that is from the reimagined release. Only 3,000 copies will be made worldwide. Record Store Day is April 23rd. This is just something else that they're also going to release. So our early report, I had heard that it was just in the UK, but it's worldwide, but only 3,000 copies being made.
So if you go to Record Store Day, this won't be there yet. You have to go on the 18th.
I guess so.
Yeah,
it's only going to be available then.
It's a little confusing. They're doing, like the past 2 years, because of the pandemic, they called them drops. It was almost like 3 Record Store Days in 2020, and they did, not counting Black Friday, which was separate. The spring one was split into 3. I think it was 3 months in a row in 2020. Late August, late September, late October. I guess to cut down on crowds. I don't recall the logic in doing it that way. So this year, I think they set up a drop day as like an auxiliary record store day, and that's June 18th. And there are things coming out exclusive to that day.
Not just Paul's. So
not just Paul's. Yeah, there's some other things as well. So it's almost like there are there's 2 spring record store days.
Okay.
I think. I hope.
More news. Danny Harrison posted online that he'll be performing for a Ravi Shankar centenary at the Royal Festival Hall, South Bank Center, on May the 3rd. Danny will be singing and playing Prabhuji from the Chants of India album with his sitar hero and sister, as he puts it, Anushka Shankar and her orchestra. Danny will also be performing alongside the Masters, Nitin Sawhney and John McLaughlin, and the show is already sold out. Uncut Magazine has a tribute issue to Paul McCartney for turning 80, about to turn 80. Mojo Magazine has a new deluxe issue out called Introducing the Beatles Essentials, described as an indispensable guide to navigating the Beatles albums, rarities, live sets, mixes, remasters, and more. And it's currently on sale. And then finally, and I didn't know this until about a week ago, back in January, Leo Sayer released an album of Beatle covers called Northern Songs. Leo Sayer Sings the Beatles. This is to celebrate his 50th anniversary in the music biz. Thanks to Scott O'Rourke, who does a Beatles show on WUSB, Stony Brook's radio station on Long Island, on Thursdays. Thank you, Scott. That's all the news I have this time. Much shorter than usual.
Thank you, Ken. And on to the subject of this week's show, which is the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's new exhibition, The Beatles Get Back to Let It Be, which opens on March 18th and runs for a year. So you have plenty of opportunity to get to it and see it. We're going to be walked through it, so to speak, by the chief curator, Nwaka Onwusa, and we'll talk a bit more about the exhibition and what went into it with Greg Harris, the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame's president and CEO. So on to the show.
Back to where you once belonged.
Okay, so we have Nwaka Onwusa, the VP and Chief Curator of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, who's going to walk us through this exhibition and show us a few things. And welcome to the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It really is an honor and such an exciting day to be with you guys and give you a sneak peek of our newest exhibit, Get Back to Let It Be, here opening on March 18th here at the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So I am at our entryway right now, and this is really to get fans, once Rock Hall visitors come into this space, they're getting to see a little bit of some snippets of the moments and photographs taken by Ethan Russell, who exclusively photographed this moment. So this is our entryway. Here you can see into the exhibit, and really, we're really excited to anchor this exhibit and celebrate this docu-series, which has, you know, chronicled this really historic moment for music in rock and roll and beyond. So come on in. We're still, you see, we have ladders behind me. We got folks painting and all sorts of things happening, just getting ready, putting on the final touches for our exclusive public opening tomorrow here in Cleveland. So behind me, you can see a few artifacts here, from the clothing to the acetates from the studio sessions to handwritten lyrics and concepts and ideas written by Paul McCartney, John Lennon, I Mean Mine, written by George Harrison. We have so many amazing artifacts here in this space. And like I said, the clothing pieces I'm really, really loving, because I mean, this is probably the first time that all of these elements, although these are not worn all on the same day, because we have the raincoat that Ringo wore on the set for the rooftop concert, but you have some other clothing items that were worn by the principal members of the band. But this is the one time where all of these moments have come back together since '69. So
Great.
More to see. To my right, we have one of the first film studios. So if you've seen the documentary or the docuseries, you'll know what we're talking about. But even if you haven't, we've produced this in such a way with the support of Peter Jackson's team and the Beatles to make sure that fans get the climax moments of the Twickenham studio session to the Apple studio moments, and then obviously to the rooftop. So those are the three anchored moments that fans will get to experience, and where there's more to see in the space. Let me not trip over these wires here. One of the things that I'm really loving as well, again, the artifacts that we've collected in this space. Right behind me, you can see Ringo's drum kit. We have the maple drum kit, John Lennon's Epiphone, and George Harrison's hand-painted guitar, Rocky. We have Rocky here on display for fans to really get up close and see. I think this is really special, because this is, again, for Beatles fans, an opportunity to, obviously, like our president of the foundation says, get back to get closer. We really want folks to get closer to this moment, to celebrate, to relive, or to relearn, or just to, for me, I didn't grow up obviously with Beatlemania, but definitely a huge Beatles fan. So to have this opportunity to have these moments materialize and some of my favorite music icons and heroes humanized in this way is really special. So I think fans are really gonna love this.
Mhm. Okay.
Awesome. So we move on and we highlight, again, some of these special moments. You'll see Billy Preston, the fifth Beatles, celebrated in this moment, as well as Sir George Martin and Glenn Johns. And again, like I mentioned, we have the acetates from Glenn Johns that he kept, along with his recorded books and his calendars and schedules on display for fans to see. For those Beatle fans who really know the intricate details, we have some things to really pique everyone's interest. Behind me here, again, more films, more galleries to see in this space. And again, we wanted to provide that close, intimate feeling for fans. Close, but not too close. We're still being safe with COVID restrictions and
Sure.
all sorts of things being lifted and not lifted. But just so everyone's comfortable, we wanted to make sure that you still got a piece of that story through this exhibit experience. So
Were the acetates and things, were the acetates visible? Can you show us those?
The acetates are visible. And do we want to show those? Are we able to show?
Oh, I
this
thought you were
acetate?
standing in front of that.
Oh,
uh,
no. So yes, so they are back this way. So this is the Let It Be acetate. Glenn Johns had the idea for the album, just to kind of give the insight to the listener for in the studio. So he mixed, several tracks to make this acetate review. So that is, this is a part from the collection of Glenn Johns that we have on display. Again, I mentioned you're talking about the acetate specifically, but one of my favorite songs is Dig a Pony. So happy that we have that moment and those lyrics and concepts that are also celebrated here in this space as well. And again, Glenn Johns' diaries from 69 to 1970. I think these are really special moments just to see what was happening day to day for those. I mean, here we have January 9th, 1970 to USA. Pretty cool. I mean, so we've been pretty specific on what pages we opened up for fans to actually see, but you get a glimpse into what was happening during that time, 69 to 70.
Before you walk on, can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah.
I see the red raincoat, which was Ringo's
Yes.
wife's. That's the actual raincoat Ringo wore on the
This
roof.
is the actual ring. Yes.
To the what are the outfits next to the raincoat?
Yeah, so the outfits next to the raincoat, we have John Lennon's jean jacket. So that was his Wrangler jacket that he would wear often, very often. So the patches on are original to him. Then we have George Harrison's suit, worn in 1968. This pinstripe suit was purchased from a shop that he absolutely loved in London. He wore it to the movie premiere. So we have this suit, and then the Paul McCartney shirt. He purchased this shirt also in 1968 as well, and wore it to the Let It Be recording session. So we have the photo here for fans to see. And then there's also the videos that kind of complement these moments. So then you'll get to see these moments, maybe not the pinstripe suit, but you'll get to see the other three moments featured throughout the film that are also on display as well. So we did want to make sure that those tie-ins and those moments were connected to the recording of this historic album.
Great.
It's really awesome that we have these pieces.
Is everything all in one big room, this exhibit, or does it take up a floor or what?
No, so everything is in one big room here. We have 2,000 square feet dedicated to Let It Be. So again, the three studios, the three filming theaters, if I want to call them that, are Apple Core Studios. We have three of them in this space, and I'm not sure if you've been, but prior to this, we had our Super Bowl exhibit housed here, and prior to that, our Play It Loud exhibition, which was celebrating some of the guitar gods of our globe. So this space has seen some amazing transformations, but this gallery is here on our main hall, in our main hall.
Great.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Cool. So I want to take you to see the last gallery where we have films, the last film, and this is the culminating event. So the concert on the rooftop, January 30th, 1969. So talk about feeling immersed in a space. And here we are. So fans will get a chance to watch this. This is about 13 minutes cut from that performance. And while we didn't want to give all of it, you have to go to Disney Plus to check out the rest of the full docuseries directed by Sir Peter Jackson. And we're really honored to have his support. Obviously, all of the Beatles, from Paul McCartney to Ringo Starr, John Lennon estate to George Harrison's estate, exclusively working with them to contribute to make this exhibit what it is. So again, we're really honored that we have this footage and that fans will get to enjoy these special moments.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it really is. It's just as a fan, I'm like, my mind is totally blown. It just really, it's speechless. Like, the history is happening right now. You know, this exhibit has been in the making for over 9 years. So we'll just call it 10, and was conceptualized, and the seed was planted by our foundation president, Joel Peresman, and the curator who helped to push this exhibit forward, Craig NCRD. So I do have to shout them out for seeing this through. Our team, our curatorial team who made this happen. So as we all were anticipating the release of the box set, to the release of the docu-series, and then all of the delays with COVID and everything, we're finally here, and we're opening this exhibit tomorrow to the public. And we're so pumped to be celebrating the Beatles and to get back to Let It Be.
That's
I
really
was-
interesting that you were just saying, sorry, that this whole process got started 9 years ago. You didn't
Yeah.
even know back then that there would be a Get Back
Right, exactly.
documentary.
Didn't even know. And we just really, you know, we wanted to work with the Beatles. This has been a long time dream for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And again, it's not to say that we have not celebrated the Beatles. We truly haven't. We have an exhibit celebrating the Beatles and just highlighting some of their you know, monumental and musical achievements. But to do something specifically on an album, or to highlight this specific moment, I think is just so special for us. And for this to be highlighting the last exhibit that this band will ever create, Let It Be, I think is also just so special for us to kind of end and start with this moment. Is beautiful for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, and it's just historic for rock and roll music to have this exhibit told.
And fans will have a nice significant amount of time to take this in, because I understand that this is
Yes.
going to be open for about a year.
Yes, this exhibit will be open for about a year. And so you have the summer, the fall, spring, summer, and the fall to enjoy getting back to Let It Be for fans. So wherever you're coming from, mark your calendars, book your trips. We're open, we're here. And on rockhall.com, you can learn more about how much tickets are, when we're open, what times, all of that, and any special events that we have coming up to celebrate this special occasion. Also, I have to shout out, we have some really cool merch coming up in our store. So for fans who are also really into that, I already saw you had your OG Rock and Roll Hall of Fame hat on there. So, there's going to be some exclusive things that you can only get at rockhall.com or here at the museum specifically. So really excited for the all around celebration.
It is a great gift shop area.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
And I spent an awful lot of money.
During
not
the
alone.
year, during the year that this is running, will it stay static, or will there be pieces traded in and out along the way?
Right now it will stay static, but static is not bad.
Right.
But we'll see. It all depends on what the Beatles decide to do. So we're at their mercy. But right now, this is what we've come to, and this is the exhibit as it is right now.
Okay.
Wow.
Thanks very much.
Fantastic.
We'll be there.
I can't wait to see you guys. Please let me know when you come and visit. Would love to give you a tour through again in real life.
Great.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank
Thanks
you,
so
Nwaka.
much.
Thank you.
Yes. All right. Piece of music. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, take care. Okay, so we are with Greg Harris, the president and CEO of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. Welcome to the show. And we want to talk about the Beatles Get Back to Let It Be exhibition. And Nwaka mentioned that it had been 9 years in the works, which was, before we had any inkling of a Peter Jackson film or anything like that. So how did this all start?
Yeah, the exhibits take a while to do right, and to lay the groundwork for doing a collaboration with the Beatles to expand on the Beatles exhibit that I think it was probably about maybe 7 or 8 years ago that we updated our current Beatles exhibit, and the conversations already started of something that would be a standalone and even bigger. And then the Peter Jackson film, his edit or his docuseries was starting to be talked about, and I think the idea was to blend them and find a way to draw on each other's resources. And that's what our curator on this, Craig Nciardi, Nwaka may have mentioned his name. Craig has just been doing a lot of legwork. And, you know, to do this right, you need to have the complete support of all the principals. You really can't do an unauthorized one. You want it to be authorized and to be impactful. And that they all came together for the docuseries, and they all came together for this exhibit as well.
Mm-hmm. You've done things with Yoko before, and but you hadn't done and just one Beatles thing before this.
Yeah, so we've always had a Beatles presence in the museum, of course, right? They're so
Right.
important to the history of rock and roll. And, you know, I think you'll appreciate that we have a decent sized gallery. And on one side is the Rolling Stones, and on the other side is the Beatles, right? Our classic question to everybody growing up in the 70s and 80s. And so you have the Stones there and the Beatles. And the Beatles exhibit there is a nice exhibit that has a little bit from each of them, and it's a broader survey. So it's the kind of the snapshot of the career. This exhibit was a chance to take one gallery, dedicate the entire space, and go deep on an important cultural moment. And that moment is, of course, the same thing that Peter Jackson was doing with the Michael Lindsay Hogg footage, and bringing that moment to life in a different way. And so it kind of lined up well. And we were ready to pull the trigger a year and a half, 2 years ago, when the film was going to be released. But we held off, and we were waiting for that to go first, and then we followed in sequence, and that's kind of where we are right now.
So basically where you're at now, you're opening up, we're doing this interview the day before the big grand opening, and basically what people will see starting March 18th has been in place now for roughly 2 years, give or take.
Well, the concepts have, but the final design, the final placements, even the final video elements, we didn't have until a couple days ago. So to walk you through, you enter the exhibit, and there's a sort of statement about what moment in history this is, why it's so important, and then it talks about the film, how it came to be from the original to today, and what the sessions meant, and then you immediately are in a space where you're seeing Twickham Studios, the recording sessions there. Then you're seeing the actual artifacts, the guitars, the instruments, the outfits that they were wearing when they did these sessions, the production notes, song lyrics. Then there's another theater where you literally see the band with Billy Preston getting like thrown into the energy, and some other elements. And then you finally reveal this big rooftop setup where you're actually on the rooftop and the band is playing in front of you, larger than life, and the audio is incredible. That's the sort of cliff notes of what you feel and see. But even the film clips in the exhibit, those were edited by Peter Jackson. They were put together for this express purpose by him, and handcrafted for that moment. And then the artifacts you're seeing, John Lennon's Epiphone Casino guitar, that beautiful blonde guitar, that's on loan from his estate, from Yoko. The Ringo's drum kit that he's playing in those sessions and on the roof, it's from him. The red raincoat that he wore, is from him. It's there, and so on and so on. So that's kind of the idea. It's authentic, it's real, and it mixes video and audio elements with larger than life graphics and then the original artifacts that made the moments. And it creates this immersive feel that today when people talk immersive, you think immediately VR goggles and virtual and digital. This is kind of a hybrid of analog with experience and with space. And what I think is particularly cool about that is you're not isolated by devices. You're standing with others elbow to elbow that have probably been on a similar journey over the last 40 or 50 years or more with this band. And this is a magical moment for all.
You mentioned that the video, you just basically got your hands on it a couple of days ago, but it was being planned for some time, the video. How much work goes into? It must be difficult to coordinate with somebody who's has the films and is going to edit the films, and he's on the other side of the globe, and you're trying to get. I mean, how does one go about expressing, say, to Peter Jackson, we need a 13-minute
Yeah.
bit of film that's going to cover X, Y, and Z? I mean, and there has to be, I would imagine, a lot of going back. Oh, you gave us lots of X, but there's no Z, in what we wanted. How does that work?
There is some back and forth. You're right, and you give parameters, and some of those parameters are based on our expertise and experience with exhibits. You can only spend a certain amount of time. Like it's very different than sitting at home with your giant screen by yourself watching hours and hours. This is a very different. So you give the parameters, and then stuff comes. And we did ask, in particular, the one theater we really wanted some great stuff with Billy Preston featured, because it's part of the story that I think captivated many with the docuseries. When you kind of see him as this interesting catalyst with the others, and how he fits. So you give parameters, and they're professionals and pros and delivered amazing stuff, and then we need to scale it to fit the spaces. You can't do all this work and put it on tiny screens. So you need to do it in a certain way. At the same time, you can't be blowing out the sound in one space when the contiguous space is trying to tell a softer, gentler story, and you can't be blowing it out. So, it works. It kind of works, and it's amazing. I've been walking through the last couple of days each day as they do the final adjustments on lighting, the final adjustments on audio, getting the video scaled and keyed right, and it's a lot of hands, but it's really amazing. And I'm hopeful that people will come out here to Cleveland and experience it. If you're, in deep with the Beatles, it's going to give you a chance to marry the artifacts that made the music itself with the story and with the spaces and the sound. If you're, a more cursory rock and roll fan that likes the Beatles, you're going to be equally wowed, I think, and you're going to all walk away learning a little bit more. Museum exhibits are never the definitive scholarship on a subject. They're a spark and a chance to engage in energy, and then you take that experience and you want to go deeper later on.
Ken, you want to take the next question?
Sure. With all this amazing footage that we've seen in Get Back, you mentioned the three galleries, Twickenham, Apple Studios, and the Apple Rooftop. Is it pretty much the same, like 13-minute clip being rotated over and over again, or do you have several different edited clips so that if you want to go back and watch again, you'll see something different?
Yeah. Right now, the clips in each of the theaters will be fixed clips, but there was at one point, there was 3 different selections in 2 of the theaters. And for the sake of flow, they've been held back for now. So I guess in asking that, is it going to change? I would say stay tuned, and we want to see how what's out there now is received, and how it comes together. But stay tuned. There will be some changes, I would anticipate, through the run of the exhibit. But for now, we're going to open it up. We're going to let it breathe and let people experience it over the next couple weeks.
Yeah, I think the more clips you have, the more you'll have people coming back.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. And the other thing, I'm not sure if Nwaka mentioned it, but in addition to the exhibit, we're getting a 1-hour version of the docuseries that we're going to show on site multiple times through the run of the exhibit here at the museum. And there's something cool about experiencing that. We have a theater here that has unbelievable audio, as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame should, and then a giant screen, and you can watch this with fellow fans. Versus, I know I streamed the series over the holidays, and I was there with my laptop, like I wanted it to be bigger.
Yeah, I know one of the features, and Nwaka was mentioning this in the exhibit, is the acetate from Glenn Johns. Is that just looking at it, or are you actually playing it? while you're there?
That one you're just looking at. There is some audio and ambient type audio that's not synced up with the films that creates an experience in the space. There's some of that where there's conversation and other stuff, but the acetate isn't reproed. I will share, and you guys may have an interesting view. You know, we're doing a dedication and celebration and other stuff that weekend of April 8th, 9th, and 10th. And we've had a long discussion about what do we play over the museum speaker that weekend? Do we play, the Phil Spector? Do we play the Glenn Johns? Do we play the later edits? And it was kind of a fun exercise and fun discussion. What do you think?
I'd vote for Glenn Johns.
Glenn John.
Phil
Yeah,
Spector.
No, we
Yeah,
can't
that's
be 10.
I've got to be different, you know.
so. What we've sort of we're where we're leaning is we're hopeful that Glenn will come out for the dedication, and if he's in the house, we got to play his mix.
Oh, sure.
Okay.
Just play the Nagras start to finish. People will have to come back several days to hear them.
Very fun. So anyway, that's it's exciting that this is a oft talked about subject, right? But it's still fresh and exciting and new, and that's part of the docuseries. I think really helped all of us look at this a little differently and provided extra inspiration. So really exciting. It's still relevant after all this time. And, we fully expect to see families in the exhibit. And these are families where kids and parents are singing along to Beatles songs in the car together. I don't know about you, but my parents didn't like the same music I liked when I grew up. But we're at a point now where this catalog has gone on and impacted so many that we're seeing multi-generational love for the Beatles.
There's something strangely ironic about the idea of a 1 hour cut of Peter Jackson's film in that version is shorter than Let It Be even. So did he edit that, and is it like 1 hour covering the whole set of sessions, or did he just take 1 day, which I
haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
But you're right. It's as it's always harder to write something, right? You guys are writing scripts for things you're working on, and even it's always harder to write less. It's sometimes easier to do more, right?
Oh, yeah.
So
Absolutely.
it'll be interesting to see what he decides to do. It's his edit entirely, and it'll be exciting to see what he does.
I just had this thought that we're waiting for the DVD and Blu-ray to finally come out. A few years from now, imagine if Peter Jackson actually did a director's cut. It would be the whole thing, however many hours it was. If I could just jump in with a quick question, which is more of a general question about these type exhibitions. You now have this Beatles exhibit set to go for a year. And we asked Nwaka about it being static, or will things change? Have there been instances where during the course of an exhibit, some key artifacts turn up, or how do you handle potentially changing an exhibit after people have come, say, for 3 or 4 or 5 months, from all over the world? Yeah. Now you're making changes because, you got to have this. We have to have that. This turned up. Now you've made a different exhibition. How do you handle that?
Yeah. So on the artifact side, we have had exhibits, and we frequently swap things out in the overall museum. In our other permanent exhibits, things get swapped in and out. Sometimes, if they're on loan from an artist, the artist or their family may need it for something. One of the fun stories is, Bruce Springsteen's that great sort of blonde. It's a Telly with a Mustang neck or a Mustang, and that great guitar, his iconic guitar. We had a Springsteen exhibit, and he was touring, so the guitar would go off exhibit, and he would take it out, and then he'd send it back. When the Go-Go's were inducted, they wanted to play. Kathy Valentine wanted to play one of her basses that she'd already given us, so we let her use it and we put it back on exhibit. But in this particular one, it revolves around these sessions. So every artifact that's in this exhibit was used in those sessions. So it'd have to be something pretty special to surface that we'd want to augment it. But yeah, if through the life of this, if the keyboard that Billy Preston is playing, if that were to surface, we would love to add that to this exhibit. And I think it would be more additive than reductive. And so let's see where it goes. But it's not an exhibit that is super heavy on artifacts. It's got a few iconic pieces, and then it has the immersive activity as well. But artifacts do come off of exhibit now and then. Some of them you don't want to leave them out for years, and this exhibit isn't that long, but you don't want them under the lights and out in the open for too long. But these are protected and humidity controlled, and they're the actual ones. It's not like we're going to switch it for a different drum kit. This is the one Ringo played on the rooftop. So I think these will stay where they are. I can't think of any super extenuating circumstances where something would come down, but I can think of us adding some things if things surface that are going to really appeal and help us tell the story. And we don't want to just put them there to be encyclopedic. They've got to generate some energy and emotion. That's why you do it.
You didn't get Glyn Johns' coat, did you? The big furry white one.
Yeah, he looked great with all that stuff. No, but we do have some of his production notes, and then that acetate, which is kind of cool. And I'm trying to think. I think we have some of the lyric sheets as well that were transcribed. I think Mal was transcribing them with Paul, if you remember those segments. I believe we have some of those on exhibit as well.
I was kind of hoping they'd have George Harrison's boots, those fuzzy slipper boots that he was wearing.
Yeah, well, if they turn up, we would love to add them. We have the pink pinstripe suit that he was wearing. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Wasn't the color footage just popped this time around?
Oh yeah.
It made it seem much newer than 50 years ago, didn't it?
Yeah.
We're used to thinking a lot in black and white because we see so much black and white of the Beatles, but to see that, and then the color that you see from back then is a bit washed out. This was so fresh and amazing.
Do you envision live events of any kind over the course of the year? If Glyn Johns comes, will he do a panel or something?
Yeah, we do. We envision those sorts of things. We're going to do some special themed weekends where it'll be a call for fans to come and gather together. And I want to be mindful that we're not putting people on the spot by naming that they might be coming. But there was a number of the people that were associated with these sessions are thankfully still with us, and we would love to find ways to connect them to the exhibit, whether it's physically here at the museum, and we'll do special weekends, or some virtual discussions with them as well. Yeah, we're excited. This will be kind of the center from which a lot of our activity over the next at least the summer and beyond will spoke around the activity of this exhibit.
I was going to ask a few extended invitations out to major players like a Michael Lindsay Hogg or someone like that to see if they would want to show up and make an appearance. And
yes, we have extended invitations, and we're very optimistic that we're going to have folks here. And again, we mentioned names just as a reference. I don't want to put anybody on the spot with who may or may not be comfortable with traveling, who may not be. But I'm very optimistic that we're going to be able to host some of those folks here, and then create some experiences for fans with these people, which would just be, it's like the final element. We have the graphics, we have the audio, we have the film footage, we have the artifacts, and now to have the actual individuals tied to that moment is super special.
Yeah, I've heard that you're supposed to have some special events on the weekend with Beatles tribute bands performing.
Um, that we are going to do some special things. I'm not sure we're going to go down the tribute band um, road.
Hmm.
Um, that's as the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We typically focus more on original artists, and even they can throw in other songs here and there. But we're there's something that's authentic about our place, and I'm not saying some of these bands don't sound terrific, and it's the closest you can get to the real thing. But we like to really put the emphasis on the real thing.
Okay. I just wanted to mention that 2 times I went to the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame when there were John Lennon exhibits, and I loved it to death. There was the one where you had 3 whole floors dedicated to John, 1 whole floor of just handwritten lyrics, and even that same time, you had a Stu Sutcliffe exhibit running. And what a magical time that was for me and for Beatle fans to be there for both. And is there any chance at all? I know Yoko was so generous with all the stuff that she loaned to the Hall of Fame, of any of that coming back again?
One, I'm glad you got to experience it. Um, I have to say, I didn't see it. I wasn't here at that point, but I've heard terrific things about it. And I got to see a little taste of it when Yoko worked with us again and we installed an exhibit in New York.
Which I went
That
to.
was, yeah,
Yeah.
which was a smaller version of that, but still amazing. And we should share, Ken, with viewers, there was a key feature in both those exhibits, and it was a white, old school rotary telephone that was sitting sort of on just off to the side without a lot of messaging about what it was.
Hmm.
And it was a phone, and from time to time, Yoko would call it. And if a visitor was in the gallery, I believe there may have been a little tiny sign that said, if the phone rings, pick it up. And she would talk to visitors in the exhibit. And
Wow.
Cool.
what power, right? To sort of unite with memory and then to reach kind of across that barrier to connect with fans that are in that space feeling emotional.
Hmm.
So I share that because she's been a wonderful supporter of the museum. We're very grateful for uh, Yoko's support, for Sean's support as well, for the whole Lennon estate has been terrific. And the things that you see in our permanent Beatles exhibit, as well as including John's Rickenbacker from the Ed Sullivan appearance, and then in the one that's in the exhibit now, the Epiphone Casino, those are all on loan by the graciousness of Yoko. So we don't have one slated,
Hmm.
and but they were powerful, and so far we're 2 for 2. Let's see where we go. How's that?
I hope you do it again. And there were guitars that Julian donated.
That's right. He's
Yeah.
been very
So
supportive and helpful to the museum as well. We are artists. I think that some have a real keen sense of legacy, but also what it means for fans like us to be able to experience these pieces. And there's a power in them. That's what museums are all about. The fun thing about the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame is you can have the artifact, but you can also have the art, which is the sound, and then you can see the videos of it being created, and you can sort of experience it.
hmm.
I believe that makes us, personally, I think it's the most relevant and impactful museum in the entire world. And I love museums, but this place, there's something about connecting all those dots with our own personal history and then our shared history as fans and uh, as music lovers that transcends any other museum in the world.
Nice.
Yep. I'm very moved every time I go to the Hall of Fame to see the clothes that all these stars wore and the Motown exhibit that I've seen there. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, please come back, see this exhibit. And then maybe for another show, we're looking at expanding the museum. And we have great plans for the future. We're super excited, and right now we're bursting at the seams. I'm sitting up in a space called the garage. These instruments here, Telly, Les Paul, 335. Visitors can come in and play them.
Oh, nice.
These aren't collections. These aren't owned by artists. These were given us by Gibson, Fender, and Martin and DW drums. But people can come in and play drums in drum rooms, play guitars, jam with each other. To my right is a keyboard, and Booker T came through here, just before the pandemic and was jamming with visitors. The guys from Metallica have played in here with visitors. It's pretty, brings it alive.
Greg, I'm curious what's behind you, behind the glass. The people are roaming around out there in the corridor, the hallway.
Yeah, so this entire floor we call the garage, and the places to jam and play. It's pretty big. It's a couple thousand square feet, and then on that side there's an exhibit that's kind of like gear, and it's some of the more interesting pieces of gear. There's a Buddy Guy guitar I see from here with the polka dots on it. I think that's
Nice.
Buddy Guy. And some other pieces. There's some Les Paul pieces around the corner. And then on these poles, if you can see sort of stickers everywhere, in addition to being able to jam here, visitors can design their own band logo. And then just like in every rock club we've all ever been in, they can leave it here, they can take it with them, and visitors stick them all over the place and kind of leave their mark in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. So it's a hands-on space. And some of that stuff across that they're looking at, those are gear exhibits. You can't see the other way. We can flip this around for you. There's I can't really do it. I'll try. Down here, there's a guy in the drum room down there. There's guitars. There's other pieces. There's keyboards in here. For those that are really killers. We got a double bass rig here if you want to get into your inner Van Halen, and a bunch of other things in here. It's a fun space. We have staff that play multiple instruments and they jam with visitors. And don't tell anybody, but we also get to come up here on a Thursday after work, and staff lets it fly. It's pretty great. So you got to experience it. If any of you are players when you come out. It's a pretty fun deal, and it's amazing how many people walking around have played in bands, say in college, and now they're here with their family, and their kids have never seen them get behind a drum kit and bring it, and it sort of lights this spark. We'll do sing-alongs in here where you'll have 10 people singing "Let It Be" together, never met each other until that moment, and there's a kind of a collective energy around everybody. And otherwise there's a kid that maybe he learned one Green Day song on guitar, and he gets to come in here and play with some pros, and it may light a spark in that young person to go off and have confidence and do other things, whether it's music or otherwise.
Allan and Ken play. I don't. So is there like an air guitar wing for the pathetic like me?
We're going to give you a tambourine or some maracas, and you'll be in. But yeah, please come. It'd be fun. Do the show from here, and we'll fire it up with you. I'll play a little rhythm guitar if you'll let me, and we've got other far more talented staff members that'll make us all sound really good.
You got a cowbell laying around?
In fact, we do.
There you go. I got on the cowbell.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, come on out. Come out during this exhibit.
I think we all, especially now after doing this show, I know my wheels are turning on coordinating a family trip out west. So
build a whole vacation around it.
Yeah, come on out. Well, call it work, call it a vacation, call it a little bit of both, and come out and tape some things with us. Our curators would love to be part of it. And this place is 6 floors, as you know, from being here. There's a lot of stories in these walls, and it's fun to be able to talk about this particular one.
Great.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. This
All
has
right.
been tremendous. Thank you so
My
much.
pleasure. Well, hang on. If this was Peter Jackson, we would just be getting started, right?
That's
Exactly.
right. This would be the throat clearing part.
Well, thanks again.
Thank you,
Okay.
Greg. See you later.
My pleasure. Have a great day, guys. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was a fun look at this exhibition. Obviously, it's going to be much more fun seeing it in person. So thanks so much to Nwaka Onwusa for leading us through it, and to Greg Harris for his comments about it, and also to Jennifer Ballantyne of A-Side Media for setting this up for us. We'll go around and give our contact information, starting with Ken.
All right. If anyone would like to contact me by email directly, you can write to me at everylittlething@att.net. My relatively new YouTube channel, it's a year old. My newest video, I've invited my co-host on the podcast Talk More Talk, Kid O'Toole, and we discussed what she feels. I had her pick one Beatles album, one from each solo Beatle that she considers to be the most underrated from them, and she discusses why. And lots of conversations all on the Beatles on my YouTube channel with special guests from musicians, other podcasters. Check it out. It's Ken Michaels Radio, and if you can, please subscribe. There'll be more new videos coming in the next few weeks, definitely. Also, the other podcast show that I mentioned, Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast. We have a new show premiering on next Monday, which is the 21st of March. We'll be reviewing George Harrison's Somewhere in England album. We just did a really interesting show discussing Paul McCartney and his solo career, and whether or not we feel that his music is best when he produces himself or gets an outside producer to work with him. We had a lot of different answers, and it was a very healthy debate you might want to check out. That's Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast. You can watch it live every other Monday night on our YouTube channel at 9 p.m. Eastern. Talk More Talk, a solo Beatles video cast. And please subscribe if you can to that podcast as well. And as always, my website, kenmichaelsradio.com, with Beatles trivia every single week, and lots of interviews that I've done in the past that are strictly audio interviews. All you got to do is check out the pages. There's so many names there, people that you'll recognize, and great conversations with all of them. And so if you can, check that out as well, kenmichaelsradio.com. All right. Thank you, Allan.
Okay, Darren.
My turn. If you want to listen to me at WFUV, I'm on the air Monday through Thursday nights starting at 10 p.m. In the New York City area, but you can stream anywhere. Also Saturday afternoons, 1 to 4 p.m. So 10 p.m. Monday through Thursday nights, 1 p.m. in the afternoon. Last time I checked, p.m. means afternoon. Could be evening, but there is no 1 o'clock in the evening, is there? Anyway, so 10 o'clock Monday through Thursday nights and 1 o'clock Saturday afternoons on WFUV 90.7 FM in New York City. And again, we stream on our website, WFUV.org, and you can listen on our app. Download that. And however this works, you can ask your smart speaker to play WFUV. I ask my smart speaker to do things and it tells me where I can go. I mean, so I don't know. Anyway, I don't have a smart speaker. If you want to send me an email personally so that we could talk about Allan and Ken behind their backs, you could email me at Darren DeVivo at WFUV.org. But better yet, I have two Facebook pages. One of them is just Darren DeVivo. The other's got a lengthier name. Follow one and send me a friend request on the other, and we'll be connected there on Facebook. So that's the deal for me.
Okay. You can reach me on Facebook, either at Allan Kozinn or Allan Kozinn Remixed. You might also want to check out the McCartney Legacy Facebook page, where periodically new info goes up, or articles about Paul and what he's up to and what we're researching, and whatever comes to mind. You can contact the three of us by email at things we said today radio show at gmail.com. That's things we said today radio show at gmail.com. You can also follow us on Twitter at things we said fab. And we have, just for symmetry, 2 Facebook pages for the group. One is Things We Said Today, big surprise. And the other is Things We Said Today, Beatles Radio Fans. The shows are posted there, or links to the shows are posted there. Be sure to watch us on YouTube, certainly this show and also the one with Peter Jackson, show number 355, because there are things to look at. And, hearing it is probably okay, but you want to see the walk through the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame exhibition if you can. But if you are only listening on audio, we're on Podbeam, we're on iTunes, and other sources of fine podcasts everywhere. So this was sort of fun going through the Rock Hall's exhibition and talking to them. Thanks again to them. And thanks to you for listening. I'm Allan Kozinn for Ken Michaels and Darren DeVivo. Great to have you with us, and we'll see you next time.